Welcome to Centennial Sports TV.
On tonight's show, the St. Michael's Buzzers look to stay hot against the Rangers.
The Leaside Lancers look for a win at Chaminade.
And CSTV's Josh Craig runs a half marathon. Find out how he did. CSTV starts now. I'm your host, Pete Stewart, and this is Matt Hayes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's episode of CSTV. Big week for sports, eh, Matty?
Oh, you know it, Pete. We're just at that time of year between the summer sports winding down and the winter sports gearing up.
Yeah, soccer and baseball are stepping aside for hockey and football, as the autumn season is most certainly upon us.
And there's still no sign of the NBA.
But there are still lots of sports going on in the city, so let's get to it.
Absolutely, Pete. The St. Michael's Buzzers are the most dominant team in the Ontario Junior Hockey League this year. Our Josh Leuenberg took off this week to see the boys in action against the North York Rangers to see if they can keep up their hot start.
Thanks, guys. The St. Michael's Buzzers have been taking the Ontario Junior Hockey League by storm this season. With just one loss in their first 12 games, they sit atop the South Division and the league. On the other end of the spectrum, the North York Rangers sit at the bottom of that very same division, and they come into St. Mike's Arena looking to close that gap. Pick this one up early in the second period. North York already up 1-0, and things go from bad to worse for the Buzzers. Ernesto Valente puts the Rangers up by 2, and the underdogs are looking good early on. But St. Mike's would respond a few minutes later on the power play. It's Mark Cooper finding Tommy Sumi in front of the net for his 5th goal of the season. Buzzers cut the deficit in half, and they're not done there. Daniel Millen takes advantage of the Rangers' miscue, and he's off to the races. Rangers goaltender Ryan Carlisle gets a piece, but Millen gets the goal, and it's a big one. Score is tied heading into the third, but before the period comes to an end, Buzzers forward Troy Josephs is helped to the bench after getting a skate to the ankle. Once the paramedics arrive, he would leave the game to a touching ovation. After an hour delay, the Buzzers take the ice looking to complete the comeback. They'll go to the third without one of their leading scorers, but everything is coming up St. Mike's early in the period. They'll have a man advantage after this slashing call, and they capitalize on the ensuing power play. Once again, it's leading scorer Mark Cooper with the sweet pass, this time setting up Patrick McCarron from the point, and the defenseman scores the go-ahead goal that would win the game for the Buzzers. St. Mike's goaltender Adrian Ignani made 35 saves in the victory. He continues to lead the league in save percentage, goals against, and wins, while McCarron scored his 2nd goal of the season, both game winners.
Yeah, we come back from adversity a couple games in a row, so it's good to show that we can come from behind.
We got the win, luckily. We got to prepare better as a team, though, to come out starting better.
Josephs is expected to be out 4 to 6 weeks as he recovers from an ankle laceration.
We're all pretty worried, so once he got taken off, we did a little prayer circle around our M there. Thank God for Troy. Thank God for a nice win tonight as well, but most importantly is Troy's health. Hopefully he gets back soon.
The Buzzers survive a scare at home, but they lose one of their leading scorers in Troy Josephs. They'll now have a week off before they take to the ice again and look to extend their lead in the division. At St. Mike's Arena, I'm Josh Leuenberg, CSTV.
We'll go back to St. Mike's later in the show to catch up with their new captain. Now, CSTV's Alex Terry makes an emotional return to his old stomping grounds on the volleyball courts at Danforth Collegiate, where he takes a look into the Red Hawks men's volleyball program and personally relives his glory days.
The Danforth senior men's volleyball team has been a perennial powerhouse in our community and the city at large. Led by head coach Mark Grawl, the program's already stellar reputation continues to grow, and for good reason.
You hear about the tradition we have here. We've had winning seasons since 2000. We've had very high quality character people that people see in the community and in the school. Anybody that's cocky usually doesn't play on the volleyball team.
Though there is no formal recruitment process, freshmen are generally aware of the school's volleyball tradition. Grade 12 player Artugral Karakis was no exception.
Well, I played in grade 8, so I heard that they had a great team. So I tried out in grade 9 and made a team. I could barely hit. Now I'm in grade 12. I can get over the net and it is straight down. And my passing got better.
Early player development is a common theme, and players appear to be willing to put in the required time.
I did it for fun in the beginning, but then it was more about committing. So I started committing, and I got really into it. Started meeting everyone, playing more.
Keeps us out of trouble, keeps us safe, we have something to go to after school.
There's a 3-hour practice scheduled for every day that there isn't a game or tournament. What makes it unique is that junior and senior teams take the court together. This provokes leadership from the seniors and a steep learning curve for the juniors, a tactic which has paid off.
Realistically, on paper, this is the strongest team we've had since I've coached.
A result of a tough love coaching style.
He makes you work hard, and then he's funny. He might look scary and bitter, but he's a good person.
Really inspiring and really pushing, making me do more than I could think.
Danforth's season continues tomorrow afternoon, but the big test comes in 2 weeks' time against Riverdale Collegiate. Alex Terry, Centennial Sports TV.
Now, in previous shows, you've heard reference of the Centennial College's new athletic wellness center. This week, I was lucky enough to attend the center's grand opening to find out a little bit more about the facility. It was in February of 2007 that the Centennial College Student Association launched plans to build a new state-of-the-art fitness center. On October 17, 2011, the students finally got to open their long-awaited present as the Centennial College Athletic Wellness Center held its grand opening. The night began with formal introductions, thank yous, and a ceremonial tip-off in which esteemed basketball alumni gathered at center court and took a jump ball to signify the building's official opening. This all took place in the main gym, which is already hosting home games for the men's and women's varsity basketball teams. But this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Great facility for varsity. Amazing for intramural, right? For those of us who aren't quite as competitive as the varsity level. Fabulous for the community. Lots of space to rent to use here. I think the other thing is we have a real wellness program going for our employees at the college. And so we've made a great deal with the Student Association to get our employees in here and get them moving. So really, it's going to help the whole college.
Guests were encouraged to wander about the 65,000 square foot facility that in the end will house an 80-meter indoor track, climbing wall, locker rooms, a wellness treatment center, aerobic studios, a cardio fitness area, and 3 squash courts that will be finished soon. To learn more about the many opportunities available at the Athletic Wellness Center, contact the Centennial College Student Association at ccsai.ca.
Wow, what a beautiful new facility. On a completely separate note, a lot of runners were probably pretty sore on Monday morning after the Toronto Marathon. I know I'd be. To combat this widespread issue, CSTV's own Josh Craig will give some tips how to avoid the discomfort that results from distance running.
With the Toronto Waterfront Marathon passing through our community this past weekend, it was easy to remember just how many people enjoy the sport of running. But here's a few tips to make the long miles and the cold mornings a little more enjoyable. This week, I'm the coach, and these are my tips.
Having just completed the half marathon myself, the one thing I learned was to watch my step. Running is a high-impact activity, stressing joints and pounding cartilage. Jogging on concrete and asphalt only increases the shock, so pick routes that focus on softer surfaces, like grass and dirt. Your knees will definitely thank you. After a long run, your legs are in a bit of a funk. A few quick 60-meter dashes will go a long way to wake up your muscles and flush them with lactic acid. Stretching is like flossing. We know it's important, but we often forget. A few simple stretches before and after a run can make all the difference. With a positive attitude and the right habits, maybe you'll still be running marathons when you're 100 years old.
Well, given that he ran this weekend's event, it seems only fitting to get it straight from the horse's mouth. Joining us in studio right now is Mr. Josh Craig with more on the Toronto Waterfront Marathon.
You know, Matt, the big story coming out of this weekend is that Hamilton native Reed Coolset and his training partner Eric Gillis finished 3rd and 4th on Sunday. Their performances would also earn them a spot on the Canadian Olympic team heading into London this summer. Coolset was on pace early on to break a 36-year-old Canadian marathon record set by Jerome Drayton. But he did slow down through the last few kilometers, ultimately missing Drayton's time by about 46 seconds. That said, as you saw at the conclusion of my running tips, records were still broken on Sunday. At 100 years old, Fauja Singh, otherwise known as the Turbaned Tornado by his fans, became the oldest person in recorded history to complete the classic 42.195 kilometer distance, and he did it in just over 8 hours. Who was the big winner this weekend, though? Once again, for the 4th year in a row, it was Kenya's Kenneth Mungara crossing the line first. Just to put things into perspective, Mungara, who beat both of our Olympians by almost 2 minutes, will likely be left off Kenya's team heading into the London Games because, well, in comparison to his countrymen, he's just not fast enough.
When we return, Leaside charges into Chaminade, St. Mike's crowns a new captain, and some kids are given the gift of goalie gear.
That was some good.
Hurry!
Can't get enough sports? Why not make it a career? The sports journalism program at Centennial College gives you the foundation to work at a job you'll actually enjoy.
Join the list of graduates currently working for the CBC,
Rogers Sportsnet,
The Score,
ESPN,
The National Post, and many more.
Register today.
And welcome back from break. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did.
I doubt it, Matty. We have a pretty good time off camp.
No kidding. Good thing we got those Cheetah Power Surge girls out of here before the... Fair enough. On last week's show, we saw the Leaside Lancers clinch a playoff berth in their big Friday Night Lights victory over the East York Goliaths. This week, they look to improve their playoff seed while visiting Chaminade.
Picked this game up with Leaside already up 3-0 in the first quarter, and their defense was swarming early on as they get through for this sack. Then, on the next play, they would again break through the Chaminade's O-line to cause the fumble. After Leaside jumped on the ball, they'd kick a field goal to go up 6-0. Second quarter now, Leaside in the red zone, and Dan Giacomello finds his man on the short pattern. He comes down with it to give them a 13-0 lead. Chaminade showing off a little of their own defense as Giacomello's throw gets picked off here to give the Griffins offense some good field position. And what would they do with that field position? Well, the snap goes flying over the QB's head, and that swarming Lancer defense is relentless in their pursuit of the ball, regaining possession for Leaside. The Lancers went into the locker room up 16-0 over Chaminade. Early in the second half, Chaminade's offense finally finds a spark as they would break through on this run up the middle, and nobody will catch them. Touchdown, Griffins! They would, however, fail at the 2-point conversion and continue to trail 16-6. Next Leaside possession, and they would try to answer back. Giacomello escapes the rush and scrambles for a first down. What do you think they should do next, defensive coordinator Chubba Vey?
Okay, now's the time to take a deep shot.
This guy apparently knows his football as Giacomello would lob this 35-yard pass down the left side, and the Lancers would extend the lead to 23-6. And before we show you the ensuing kickoff, let's see what head coach Jim Georgiadis noticed in his halftime speech.
On their kickoff return, there's a gap. So Julian, you might have to do just moonshot chip, and we're just going to chase after it, okay?
And here is said kickoff. Leaside tries a little trickery here, and it works as they recover the onside kick and keep the ball in Giacomello's hands. Odd call-up 17 this late in the game. The young QB would later find running back J.E. on the screen, and Yee would do the rest as he makes one tackler miss and saunters in for the score. Leaside would convert another 2 points to make it a 31-6 ball game. The Leaside D continued to cause havoc even late in the game as again they get to the quarterback, causing another Chaminade turnover. Leaside would add another touchdown to make the final 39-6, largely in part to a huge defensive effort.
The defense is what makes our team. Like, our offense will always make plays and get us touchdowns, but without a defensive stand, you can't win a championship.
I mean, we gave up one big play for a touchdown, but other than that, we had the run game shut down for the most part. They completed a couple of short passes on us, but, that's part of the game.
Wow. Leaside really smashed Chaminade there. That's good stuff. I like it. And now Josh Leuenberg returns to St. Mike's Arena to take a look at the new captain of the Buzzers, star forward Michael Neville.
The St. Michael's Buzzers continue to experience success in the Ontario Junior Hockey League, and their new captain is thriving while learning on the job. Just before the season began, Michael Neville learned he would be captaining a team for the first time in his young career, a challenge he was ready for going into his third campaign with the Buzzers.
Well, at the beginning, it's pretty nerve-wracking. Like, you realize how many people look to you to step up, be a leader. But then you 1 or 2 games go by and you realize you just got to play your game. Just come to the practice every single day, work hard in the gym, work hard on the ice, set a good example for your teammates, and hopefully pick up lots of wins as we are this year.
The Buzzers have gotten off to a quick start, and Captain Neville is a big part of their success, both on and off the ice.
Oh, he's a great leader. He's vocal in the room. He lets us know when we're doing things wrong and right. He's a very positive guy, and I wouldn't want anyone else leading this team.
You know, he does what a captain has to do. He's there, and like when we're like down, and even when we're up, he's there, and he's always encouraging us. And he's really stepped up really fast as that leader in the dressing room and on the ice, and you can see it throughout his play.
If you're doing something wrong, he'll tell you, he'll help you out, and it's kind of like a stepping stone down from the coach. Coach says chip a puck, he's going to chip a puck, and you know he's going to be there for you when you need him.
The St. Michael's hockey program has produced some great leaders, something that keeps Neville motivated. He knows he has big skates to fill.
You look only like about 4 or 5 years back, they won the OJHL championship, right? And you look at some of the names on that team, whether it's Brendan Smith, guys like that, Brandon Burlon. These guys are on the verge of playing in the NHL. There is rich history, and we're just trying to keep it going here. Keep this winning tradition that we've started, and just keep it going.
The rich history of the St. Michael's hockey program casts a shadow on the young Michael Neville. But he doesn't mind. He just continues to lead. With Centennial Sports TV, I'm Josh Lewinberg.
While players like Neville are seeing their games blossom, some kids struggle just to get started. After all, hockey equipment isn't cheap these days. Our Alex Terry took off to get a closer look at the efforts made by the OMHA to give these kids a chance to start something every Canadian kid should, a hockey career.
Every kid playing minor hockey has a hero in the NHL. For some, those heroes are goaltenders, and for 40 lucky kids in the Greater Toronto area, they could realize their dream of making it big as a goalie. The Ontario Minor Hockey Association has combined with the Insurance Brokers Association of Ontario to develop a program named The Best Insurance is a Good Goaltender.
The program is based on our outreach efforts to help encourage new people to try the game of hockey and to help kids who are currently playing hockey stay within the game. So any little assistance we can do will help. We've done some research over the past few years on what are the needs of our local associations, and based on that we found that goaltending equipment is a need that's out there.
The lucky recipients will be including a full set of goalie equipment, including chest protector, pants, blocker, gloves, and pads.
The criteria was based on their need, how old their equipment currently is, do they even have equipment that they loan out, and overall, the size of the program.
Because it's kids that are using the equipment, the longevity is probably much higher than an older player. So next year these kits will be available, and if we sponsor another 40, there'll be 80 kits, and the following year there'll be 120, and so on and so forth.
For an example of how a program like this can help young hockey players in their development, one needs to look no further than former Toronto Maple Leaf goaltender Curtis Joseph.
He was one of these type of kids that would have been a recipient of this program. Curtis had to receive a loaner set of goalie equipment to try being a goalie, and he tried it and started being a little successful in goalie, and look where it turned out. He could be in the Hall of Fame one day.
The OMHA selected its 40 communities on Friday, October 14th, and are in the process of sending off the equipment. The recipients range from larger organizations such as Brampton and Markham to smaller towns like Flesherton and Dunnville.
What a truly heartwarming story. It's great to see corporations giving back to the community, and what better way than through sport? That being said, why are we listening to Josh Craig if he's getting beaten by 100-year-olds in marathons?
I've never really thought about it, but now that you mention it, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. But that's all the time we have for this week. We look forward to seeing everybody back here next week. For Matt Hayes, I'm Pete Stewart. And this is CSTV.
And we'll see you next week, folks.